Hello friends, this video on the fundamental unit of life part 8 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we will talk about cytoplasm, right? So far we have covered plasma membrane, cell wall and nucleus. So the next is cytoplasm and thereafter we will start with the different cell organelles. As I mentioned before, what is cytoplasm? It is the fluid inside the cell enclosed by the plasma membrane. So you remember the example of the ball? So inside the ball, outside you have the plasma membrane, that is the covering. Inside the ball, you have a fluid. So that fluid is known as cytoplasm, right? Okay. So this fluid is little viscous, almost 80% of water. I mean, what is viscous? Viscous means a little sticky. For example, if you see honey, if you take honey and touch it, what do you see? It sticks to your fingers, right? Whereas if you take water, it doesn't stick to your fingers. So the viscosity of honey is much greater than that of water. That is why it is little more sticky. So this fluid, cytoplasm, is also a little viscous, not too much viscous, but it has almost 80% of water. It is also known as cytosol, another name for cytoplasm. So when I say where is the cytoplasm, this entire fluid. So this sky blue colored thing, the entire fluid is the cytoplasm. Many cell organelles are embedded in cytoplasm. So here that you can see it clearly from this picture. So this is your cytoplasm. So the fluid is present everywhere inside the cell, and on this fluid are embedded all other cell organelles. Even the nucleus is also embedded in the cytoplasm. Whether it is nucleus or any other cell organelles here, everything is embedded in cytoplasm. So cytoplasm provides a platform so that other cell organelles can stay over it. So what is the significance of cytoplasm? The first one, it contains dissolved nutrients. Many dissolved nutrients are present in the cytoplasm. See, in order that an organism live, it is necessary that the cells are alive. And for the cells to be alive, they need some nutrients. Those nutrients can be in the form of proteins or water or certain gaseous nutrients like oxygen or carbon dioxide. So they need some nutrients. Now, as I mentioned while I was talking about nucleus also, that they produce ribosomes which contain proteins. Similarly, here in cytoplasm also, they have some dissolved nutrients which help the cell or which support the cell. Dissolves waste products. It is a fluid-like structure. Therefore, let us suppose some waste products are produced in the cell in some of its organelles. So it has the capacity to dissolve the waste products. Organelles embedded in cytoplasm, each performs a specific function without which the cell cannot function as a whole. Absolutely correct, right? Because as I mentioned, in the cytoplasm actually provides a platform where different cell organelles can stay. Now, each of these organelles performs a very specific function, right? And if these organelles do not perform that function, then the cell as a whole will not be able to perform a function. If the cell does not perform a function, the living organism as a whole will not be able to perform its functions, right? So the cytoplasm actually helps the organelles to be embedded in it. It controls the shape of the cell to an extent because it is the basic platform on which everything else rests. So if there is no cytoplasm, in that case, I mean, you can imagine it like this. Let us suppose you have a tub of water. On that tub, you keep so many things. Say, let us suppose you keep a small boat, you keep a rubber band, you keep certain things. What will happen? Everything keeps floating on that water and it goes stable, right? Now let us suppose suddenly if you remove the water, then what will happen? The dissolved nutrients will go off, right, in case of the cell. But in that example, if you suddenly take away the water, there might be some, the things will no more float, right? What will happen? Suddenly they might come over each other, right? Sometimes maybe all of them get collected at one place. Sometimes they will get scattered away. So things will become haphazard. But if there is a base, then everything will remain in a stable position. So similarly, if cytoplasm is there, first of all, it has so many advantages, like it provides nutrients, it dissolves waste products, It also controls the shape of the cell, because if it is there, then all the objects are embedded in the cytoplasm at specific position. If cytoplasm is not there, maybe it might happen that all the organelles are on one side. So the shape of the cell might also change because of the cytoplasm. Correct? Because plasma membrane alone do not decide the shape of the cell. Plasma membrane along with the cytoplasm only decides the shape of the cell. It is again the same example of a balloon. When you put water inside a balloon, the more water you put inside the balloon, the shape of the balloon changes, right? So that means the fluid which is contained inside the sphere also determines the shape to an extent. Helps in cellular respiration with the help of cytoplasmic inclusions. So it helps in cellular respiration. So in our previous slide, when we were talking about nucleus, we were talking about cellular reproduction, right? So now when I talk of cytoplasm, I am talking about cellular respiration. So even the cells respire, even the cells breathe in and breathe out. So that happens with the help of cytoplasmic inclusions. What are these cytoplasmic inclusions? In the cytoplasm, there are some non-soluble molecules which are floating in the cytoplasm. So these molecules actually help in respiration. So for breathing in and breathing out, these molecules actually help, and these are known as cytoplasmic inclusions. So we are not going to study about cytoplasmic inclusions in detail right now, but this is just for your knowledge that cytoplasm has this significance as well. Right? So since it performs so many functions, so definitely cytoplasm is of great significance to a cell. Now let us talk about the cell organelles. So we have covered the basic parts of a cell, that is the nucleus, the plasma membrane and the cytoplasm. Correct? So now it is time that I talk about the various cell organelles, that means the various components which are present inside the cell, and each of these components performs a specific function. So let us first have a look at what are the different cell organelles. So several cell organelles are suspended in cytoplasm. Each organelle is surrounded by its individual membrane. This happens only in case of eukaryotes, because when I talk of prokaryotes, what happens? We don't even have many of the cell organelles, because in some of the prokaryotic cells, you don't have cell organelles at all. So when you don't have a cell organelle, obviously you are not going to have a membrane. Sometimes you have some of the cell organelles, but then again, they are also not very distinctly seen. They are also not surrounded by specific membranes. But when we talk of eukaryotes, you can see the individual cell organelles surrounded by their respective individual membranes. So let us look at an animal cell. So it is a eukaryotic cell. So here you can see that these are the different cell organelles. This is a cell organelle. Right now I am not telling you the names because I'll introduce it in the next slide. This is one cell organelle. Again, this is another cell organelle. This is another cell organelle. This is another cell organelle. So you can distinctly see the different cell organelles, and each of them are surrounded by their own individual membranes. Similarly, in case of a plant cell also, you can distinctly see the various cell organelles. This is one organelle, this is one organelle, this is one organelle, right? Okay. So let us now see what are the different cell organelles which we will be talking about in the next few slides. The first one is endoplasmic reticulum. So I'm sure all these names are going to be extremely new to you because you are studying all these things for the first time. But I'm sure once you understand these things, and most of the people say that bio is more about memorizing stuffs. Well, I agree to a very small extent that's because there are certain things which has to be memorized. For example, the names. In biology, you have so many names. For example, you have chlamydomonas, you have endoplasmic reticulum, you will have many other typical names which are like not very easy to remember sometimes. So that ways you have to remember certain things. But if you understand it, I don't think that you need to memorize everything. If you are able to understand the actual structure of things, actual function of things, then there is no scope of memorizing things. You can just understand it and then you can go ahead with it. The next one is Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, mitochondria, plastids, and vacuoles. So these are some of the cell organelles which we will be talking about in this lesson. So these are some of the important cell organelles actually, right? So let us start. Now, before we go ahead, we would also like to know where is endoplasmic reticulum located, right? So how I will proceed is that as I start with each of the cell organelle, first I'll talk about what is it, then I'll talk about the structure of that particular cell organelle, then I'll show you where is that cell organelle located in a plant cell and in an animal cell, then I'll tell you the significance of that cell organelle. Fair enough? So I'll follow this pattern for each of these cell organelles. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.